Live from Atlanta, special coverage of SEC Football Media Days 2025. This is Southeast Sports Plus with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Well, good Monday afternoon. The unofficial start of the college football season officially here. Simone Eli, Gerhard Mathangani joining you live from the College Football Hall of Fame in downtown Atlanta. Gerhard, it's that time of year. Come middle of July, we start talking some ball. SEC Media Day is officially underway.
It's right before training camps really open up a little bit later on this month. What I love about this time of year is that everybody's 0-0. So everybody has hope at this time of year. You know what you have coming back as far as your returning guys, but you also know what you have coming back as far as the portal guys go. So every team's dynamic is a little bit different. So this is an opportunity for us to know what all 16 teams will look like going into the year.
Yeah, and in addition to hearing from all 16 teams, of course, head coaches, players as well, as is tradition, Commissioner Greg Sankey opened up the entire day, as he typically does, making remarks on the current state of not only the Southeastern Conference, but also college football as a whole, college athletics as a whole. Gerhard, as we know, Greg Sankey is a huge name in college athletics, not only in football, not only in the SEC, but nationally. He's so well respected. He is a guy who has opinions that matter. When he speaks, people listen. He spoke today for quite some time. What are some things that maybe stood out to you in his moments today?
Brings up a great point, because he has so much impact and influence on the way that college sports not only has been run over the last maybe 5-10 years, but will be run over the next 10 years or so. Some of his remarks today, I got a chance to sit in the media room that you're seeing right now, and he touched on a lot of different topics, Simone. It wasn't just football, and it wasn't just the SEC. One thing he said that really stood out is he used the word super conference. And he talked about the super conference, and then he kept doing this thing where he would say the SEC and the Big Ten combined for 60+% of TV viewership. Just made it known that there are two power players in this league. They understand their power as it relates to the rest of college football and the rest of college athletics. But specifically back to the SEC, I think that he thinks that this league is in such a great place right now. Obviously signing new media rights deals. They feel they're in a good place financially. They feel like they're a great place as far as continuity goes. You mentioned this yesterday in our preview show, that all 16 coaches that were in Dallas are now here in Atlanta. I think that he believes that this place is in a really, really good spot as far as their overall, where they stand as far as in the country. But also, to me, Simone, I think that he understands that they can sway so much leverage as it relates to what the future of not only the SEC but college sports looks like.
Yeah, no question. And Greg Sankey, he does not mince words. He's very confident in what type of caliber product the SEC brings as a football conference. He knows that not only do they have a ton of teams, but they're valuable teams. These are teams that win national championships day in and day out. He knows the power and the clout that holds on the national realm. That's why he wants to have that control when it comes to the college football playoff. As for teams, we'll have more on Greg Sankey in just a little bit, but as for teams that made the rounds today, with South Carolina, LSU taking the stage early here in Atlanta, the Omni Hotel and the College Football Hall of Fame. Of course, these are two programs that are looking to take that next step. As we know, LSU, Brian Kelly trying to figure out if those two are going to mix. Maybe a little bit of pressure on Brian Kelly. On the other end, you have a Shane Beamer team when it comes to South Carolina who's excited about what the future looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are really two good teams to lead off the conference, because these are two question mark teams in a lot of ways. You can see the upside. South Carolina won a lot of great games late in this season. Ended off the year on a really strong note. I think that they have a lot of confidence going back into this year, because they have their starting quarterback in Lenora Sellers back again this year. LSU, kind of the same way, because LSU has one of the most talented teams returning. Brian Kelly came out and said it. And you didn't have to have a one of those decibel meters to understand that Brian Kelly's passion for this team is at an all-time high. He really believes, with Garrett Nussmeier back at starting quarterback and the pieces that they added in the transfer portal, this could be a high-octane offense. He didn't use the words what Jaden Daniels was when they were playing, but he made basically some assumptions that this offense can be high octane. They'll be obviously with a great game to start off the season. I think they'll obviously have a lot to say towards the end of the year, but these are two proud programs and ones that I know are willing to take that next step.
Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching Southeast Sports Plus, a brand new digital stream that we will have that's going to debut on August 4th. But this is kind of a soft launch, our opportunity to talk college football alongside one of the biggest events in the off offseason, SEC Football Media Days. And as we go through the year, we'll have a really cool opportunity to really show off Nexstar Nation, the very, very proud, owning 200 television stations locally across the entire country. In the next half hour or next 45 minutes or so, we will have representation from all throughout the country. People that can talk, teams better than we can. We cover Alabama and Auburn, typically, of course, being housed there in Mobile. We're going to bring on guys like Todd Summers to talk about South Carolina. Chessa Boucher works down there in Baton Rouge. She's going to talk LSU. So cannot wait to have those folks on in the next little while to really break down those teams, kind of flex our Nexstar muscle and say, hey, look at all these folks that we have, not only here in the SEC, but throughout the entire country who cover college football at a very, very high level. Let's go back to Greg Sankey briefly. He made a lot of really good points, Gerhard. I know you went through some of his sound bites from earlier today. What stood out in terms of what this looks like for the conference in the future, and what point do you feel like he needed to be made today throughout the morning?
Absolutely. This is obviously a football event, so we don't lose sight of that. But this is an SEC deal. One of the big things that he talked about were all the challenges moving forward. He did not shy away from the fact that there are a lot of question marks without answers.
Sure.
Things like the college football playoff, things like the transfer portal. These things are still yet to be determined as far as what the future of those things look like. Greg Sankey spent a long time today talking about those issues and not pretending that they had all the answers, understanding there's so much to be done over the next few months and years as the league moves forward.
The college football playoff as it relates to our work. Should it be at 12 or 14 or 16? Or if you wait long enough, somebody will introduce another number for consideration. The issues around the college football playoff selection committee protocol and process were noted by me at press conferences in Destin. What's the future of the SEC football schedule? Is it going to be 8 or 9 games? What do we do about our future bowl relationships? How do we implement terms of the House settlement, and what's the impact of that settlement upon non-revenue sports, on participation opportunities across all of Division I, and the sponsorship decisions around sports offered on each campus? I think the most frequent question I'm asked one-on-one, including in airports as late as yesterday, is what are you going to do about the transfer portal? There's continuing evaluation by many about the role of outside financing in college sports, often referred to quickly as private equity. There's a bit of sudden expertism, as I call it, around us, where somebody is certain to have the next great idea. And as I've shared a few times, there's no easy button for dealing with the complexities that we face.
All right, you heard there from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. One thing stood out to me when listening to Greg Sankey talk. There are things that he will kind of seemingly complain about, right?
Yes,
there are things he will voice his opinion, but he says something that I think held a lot of value, and that is that college athletics is not broken.
Yes.
That we are in a time that in 100 years of sport, there is more change right now than there has ever been. Powerful words from Greg Sankey. So what does that look like moving forward? Well, to him, he's optimistic. Not only is he optimistic about the SEC, but the state of college athletics as well, especially when you talk about the House settlement, talk about the transfer portal, of course, opportunities for athletes to make money nowadays. I think a lot of times, because it seems like it's so much change, does that mean it's negative? Greg Sankey says no.
Yeah, I think all this came as a tidal wave. All these off-the-field issues kind of came as a tidal wave. We started unwrapping this, I would say, back in maybe 2020, 2021. And one of the things that Greg Sankey said, and I think is just kind of perfect leadership, is that he hesitates to put dates on things. And he said, I learned this during COVID. Don't try to put a date on when an 8 or 9 game schedule will be determined. Will it be next summer? Will it be the summer after that? We don't know. But he said, I don't want to put a date on it because we did this 5 years ago. And just like you mentioned, I think that you alluded to a great point. It's not just one thing that's changing. It's not just a transfer portal. It's not just NIL. It's not just the House settlement. It's all these issues all at once. And so can they handle it? Of course, yes, I believe so. They have to do it one issue at a time, and I think that's the way they're doing it, but also they're doing it really strategically and with a lot of solid leadership.
Yeah, no question about that. And again, this is just day one of SEC Football Media Days. Of course, we heard from South Carolina and LSU. Take a look at the schedule for the rest of the day. We're looking forward to rolling through not only the back half of this day, but the rest of the week as well, Gerhard, as we look forward to the afternoon session here in Atlanta.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels are rolling through town, as well as Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt had a great season last year, given the fact what they looked like the year before. Obviously, everybody remembers that huge win over Alabama. Everybody remembers the goalpost going in the river.
Yes.
And then with Lane Kiffin and with Ole Miss, this is a team that was on the very cusp towards the end of the season of making the college football playoff. They had lost their starting quarterback, Jackson Dart, who's now first-round draft pick to the New York Giants in the NFL. How do they replace that? It just seemingly like they call Lane Kiffin the Portal King, and we'll see. Like you have to retool that roster. Yeah. But I'm sure they have a whole lot to say. And Diego Pavia, the quarterback at Vanderbilt, has already made a whole lot of headlines.
In year 6 of college football or something insane like that. Yeah.
One of the things that Commissioner Sankey talked about was that these guys playing into their middle 20s. But Pavia is another example of a guy that's bringing a lot of juice to a program that really needs it. So the afternoon session here has been really fun as well.
Yeah, cannot wait. Looking forward to that. Also looking forward to introducing you to a couple of guests on the show. Might be guests of the show, but they're very familiar with us. Nexstar Nation going to flex its muscle over the next 45 minutes here on Southeast Sports Plus. Coming up in our next half hour, we will hear from Todd Summers with our affiliate in Spartanburg as we talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks gearing up for the 2025 season. Gerhard will rejoin us a little bit later as we introduce you to one of the newest members of the WKRG 5 sports team as well. Stay right here. Southeast Sports Plus will return after the break.
Southeast Sports Plus special coverage of SEC Football Media Days 2025 continues live from Atlanta.
Welcome back into Southeast Sports Plus, live from the College Football Hall of Fame, downtown Atlanta. Simone Eli, joined now by Todd Summers, of course, with our affiliate WSPA there in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Todd, day one of SEC Media Days. You're a veteran, man. You've done this once or twice now.
First one was 1997.
Okay,
we've covered a few of these over the years.
You've done this once or twice, no question.
I missed Dallas last year. Didn't do that one, but I've done about 20 of them.
It's almost like playing varsity sports. As you do it more often, it starts to slow down a little bit. But there are moments where Media Days it's nonstop, it's a grind, there's people all over, you can't really see it in this shot right now, but there are folks that the hoopla is absolutely crazy. You feel like you're running around with your head's gonna come off.
I've covered SEC Media Days. It's unlike anything else you cover. I've covered ACC football kickoff. It's like 10% of what the SEC
Ooh, he sounds like Greg Sankey right now.
You have good teams in the SEC.
I love it.
But it's just so much more scaled down.
Of course.
And then you come here and it's like 1,000 media members.
It's crazy.
And when Nick Saban used to be in the conference, you'd see like droves of 50 people following
Fans,
him around everywhere.
I know it.
But that just speaks to how much the Southeast
Yep.
loves SEC football.
It really
Georgia,
does.
Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina. I mean, these are fan bases that are extremely passionate.
No question. Speaking of fan bases, any good South Carolina representation? Sometimes when it's Mondays, it's early, the first session, you don't really always see a ton of those early fans come out. I know Georgia fans will probably be, in the lobby barking at some point later in the week. But what was it like down there? Any Gamecock faithful?
Didn't see a whole lot, but Shane Beamer got here about 8:15 this morning.
Yeah.
So me personally, I had to leave the house at 4:30 in the morning. So maybe the game.
You mean you didn't get to go on like the private jet or what? I mean, come on,
the private
man.
jet was booked.
Oh man, okay, they didn't save you a spot. Todd, Shane Beamer obviously entering year 5 there at South Carolina, and this is a guy who, folks didn't really know what this was going to look like, but it was a high energy guy. It seems like players really, really love what he brings to a program. He wants to just really invest in who they are. I think he used the word today, authentic. That players know that he's genuine and authentic in his approach in recruiting, and not only that recruiting, but coaching when you get there as well. What's it been like to see kind of his transformation in the last 5 years?
If you speak with Shane Beamer for 30 seconds, you get it. Yeah. You see why he's so good on the recruiting trail. Yeah. You see why he's so good in living rooms. You see why he's so good with his team, with his players, because he relates to them. First of all, he grew up around college football. For those of you who don't know, his dad is Frank Beamer, legendary head coach at Virginia Tech. So he's been around football his whole life. Yep. And he's also been all over the place as an assistant coach. And then he came back to South Carolina as a head coach. And people were wondering, can this nice guy get the Gamecocks to places that they've never been? Because to be honest with you, South Carolina was extremely close to a college football playoff berth last year. Yep. They lost a really close game at Alabama. They lost a really close game to LSU where there were a couple of calls that Gamecock fans disagreed with. If they win either one of those games, they're in the college football playoff. They went 5-0 in November. They beat 4 teams that were ranked inside the top 25 down the stretch.
Yeah.
So what Shane Beamer is doing is working, and we had a chance to chat with him and Lenore Sellers earlier today just about how close they were last year, but how much it hurts to not quite get to that college football playoff.
There's going to be high expectations for teams automatically every year. The ones that typically had a good season the year before and returned their quarterback, they're just naturally going to be picked high, and we're no different. And we embrace those expectations, but it's also understanding that right now people are saying good things about us. Last year when we were at this event in Dallas, nobody thought we were worth a crap and weren't saying very good things about us, and we didn't listen to it then, and we don't need to be listening to it right now.
How do you balance all that went right last year, especially in November, with just how close you were to being a college football playoff team?
Yeah, it's realizing what a thin line it is between winning and losing, and everybody wants to talk about the 2-point loss to Alabama and the 3-point loss to LSU. Well, nobody talks about the 4-point win against Old Dominion, or the 3-point win against Clemson, or the 4-point win against Missouri. So I think we had 6 games last year that came down to 4 points or less.
How do you balance in your mind how close this team was to being in the college football playoff and doing things that have never been done before? For as great as last year was, how much does it bother you how close you were?
It's heartbreaking, coming up that short, so it shows you how 1 or 2 plays can really change your season. So just going out there, focus on the small details, how we preach every day in the facility, just small details, and you have to do them because small details lead us not to being in the playoffs last year. So it's definitely heartbreaking, we think about it a lot.
You just realize how big 1 or 2 plays are in a game. It always comes down to 1 or 2 plays. In the SEC, it's 1 touchdown games, 3-point games. They're usually close, not a lot of blowouts. So 1 or 2 plays is what the biggest difference in the game.
1 or 2 plays. You heard that probably 4 times just now. 1 or 2 moments. That really is the difference in college football, but especially in the SEC, especially when you get on the road. But it sounds like, and it looks like, not only do South Carolina Gamecocks feel like they're on the doorstep, but they really are. You look at top to bottom, you look at what they've done from the schedule standpoint. Listen, they're not far off, and I think the confidence is there now.
You don't go into Clemson and win unless you're making some strides.
Yeah.
Now, Lenore's, for all the things he did well, he put the ball on the ground 17 times last year.
Wow.
They only lost 7 of them, but you fumble 17 times in some of these close games, and that's going to be the difference. But he cleaned it up a lot in the second half. Second half, he played much better. First 5 games, he had 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. The last 7, the stretch where they won all those games in November, he had 17 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So he cleaned things up. And coming into the season, people looked at Lenore Sellers as, he's that guy that wears the goggles. He's that guy that wears the goggles. And I remember talking to him last summer, doing some workouts, and I heard him saying that people were like, you need to get an NIL deal with those goggles. And he's like,
listen, money's money.
I hadn't done anything yet. I got to do something first.
There you go.
Then he goes out against Clemson. He runs for 166 yards, scores 2 touchdowns. The final one comes with just over a minute to go. Dabo Swinney said in the postgame that Lenore Sellers, a redshirt freshman, was the best player on the field. Keep in mind, Clemson has 4 or 5 guys that are probably going to be first or second round picks in this year's coming draft, and they have a lot of high-end talent as well. They couldn't tackle him. They couldn't bring him to the ground. I don't know if you've seen him in pads.
Oh, yeah.
He's built like a tank. He's a big fella.
And listen, in the SEC, you have to be built like that. I mean, you have a lot of big fellas coming at you, too. And so if you can be mobile, and as you know, as you grow in the league in that position, the less you put it on the ground, the less mistakes the slower the game gets, the more comfortable that you get. And it seems like he is right there making that next step as he goes into another year under Shane Beamer.
Here's part of the problem. In the SEC, I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. You get hit, and you get hit again, and you get hit by guys that are 320, 330, 340 pounds. You take a beating. It takes a toll. They got to keep him healthy. Behind Lenore Sellers, they don't have a single quarterback that's ever taken a snap in college football in a real game. So there's not depth behind him. Yes, he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's probably on the short list. We had a chance to chat with Lenore. Had a chance to chat with his head coach as well earlier today.
Talk about the first 4 games you started last year, and then the last 7. Was there something that changed for you? Because it was a drastic difference, 150 yards a game passing to 250 yards. You took care of the ball more.
I think it was just like a growth thing. I had to get used to it, get my feet wet a little bit, get in the field. It was different. It took some adjusting, but once I got adjusted, I was good.
You grew up in this state. You knew the Clemson-South Carolina rivalry. But after you played the way you did against Clemson, what was the aftermath of that the next week, the next month, the next 6 months?
Yeah, just a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions. Seen a lot of Carolina people that was super happy. Seen some Clemson people who were mad. Some were surprised a little bit. But, yeah, you really see how much it meant that week after the game.
How has your life changed in the last year?
Drastically. It's just going anywhere, like people just recognize me and stuff. Going to public, Columbia, even like Charlotte, Georgia, different places, Florida, it's kind of like everybody recognizes me, knows me.
You feel better when you return a quarterback like Lenore's. I don't see it as pressure, and I don't know if he would either. There's a lot of expectations, but he's earned that. I mean, he's a heck of a quarterback, and no disrespect to the other quarterbacks in this league, but I wouldn't trade ours for any of them. There's some great quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but I love what our guy's about, and obviously as a player, but just who he is as a person and his steadiness and his consistency. For as much as things have changed around him over the last year, he's still the same person as far as how he handles his business, his work ethic, the way he treats people, and goes about things day to day. So that gives me a lot of confidence, and think he's handled it well, and we don't need him to be Superman. We're going to be better around him.
Shane Beamer giving a lot of credit there to QB1, and part of that is not only the player that he is, but the person that he is too. And I think when he's referencing, look at all the things that have happened to him, well, his value's increased. That's what it means.
No doubt about it.
That's what's happened to him. The guy's gotten really, really good. And of course, other people are saying, hey, take more money here, come play here, do this. South Carolina is nothing compared to what we can offer you, right? And he said, I want to be a Gamecock. How special is that for Shane Beamer and for this program?
Well, think about what it does to everybody else.
Yeah.
We got a guy that can play anywhere in the country, and he wants to be a Gamecock.
Yep.
So that's really cool. His brother's on the team this year as a wide receiver, so that's part of it. He grew up in South Carolina, about just over an hour away from Williams-Brice Stadium,
Yep.
so he's loyal to the Gamecocks. He's wanted to be a Gamecock. He waited his turn, and now he's reaping the benefits of that. But what a cool story to see the success he has had so far. And perhaps, maybe a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
We'll see.
Maybe. I mean, if he plays like he did against Clemson,
Yeah.
if he plays like that, he could go number 1 overall. Not saying he's going to go number 1 overall. Don't hold me to that.
Listen,
But
I'll bring us back up to you at some point.
But against Clemson, he was unstoppable.
Yeah.
He was unstoppable.
Yeah, as we know in the SEC, quarterback is so important, but it does take guys on both sides. Well, how does Shane Beamer feel about what this roster looks like top to bottom in terms of talent returning as they gear up for fall?
At the running back position right now, it's still, believe it or not, TBD. They've got a 25-year-old transfer named Rasul Faison, who ran for over 1,000 yards
crazy,
the last
25
couple
seems
of years.
like so old.
25, he's 25.
What is sports
Going to be 25
nowadays?
again.
Yes. Same.
But he's not cleared yet by the NCAA.
Yeah.
Coach Beamer said he hoped that was going to happen this week. If he comes in, he probably gets the bulk of the carries at the running back position. They got a guy named Nick Harbor as a wide receiver. He hasn't quite lived up to expectations yet. He might very well be the fastest wide receiver in the country.
Yeah.
I mean that. For all of you people that play the video game, the EA Sports college football game,
Anytime my hand
put
on that.
Nick
Yeah.
Harbor in there. He's a 99. Like, he's unbelievable.
good.
He's a track star.
Yeah.
Last spring, he ran track for South Carolina.
Yeah.
This spring, he wanted to focus on football.
Yeah.
So if it clicks for him, he could be a first-round pick. He hasn't put it all together just yet. But remember the name, Nick Harbor. And then they got a guy, named Mazio Bennett, who was a freshman last year, showed some flashes.
Yep.
That's going to be a key guy. They lost their top tight end, but they got another guy named Michael Smith who's going to be impactful. They brought in a bunch of transfers at the wide receiver position. Their offensive line is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Where their losses are is on the defensive side of the ball. They had 5 players taken in the first 4 rounds last year, 2 of them in the second round. So you got to replace some high-end talent there. They've got a guy named Dylan Stewart. He was a freshman last year. He was a freshman All-American. He's really, really dynamic coming off the edge.
Yeah.
But the linebacker position, lots of question marks.
Yeah.
Secondary, they've got some experience, but they lost Nick Emanwari, who was a second-round pick by the Seahawks, so they got to replace him. But lots of reasons for optimism for this Gamecock squad. They open with Virginia Tech. That's notable because Shane Beamer went to Virginia Tech.
Sure,
Shane Beamer's dad coached at Virginia Tech, and
absolutely.
now the Gamecocks play Virginia Tech in Atlanta
Yeah.
in late August, so that'll be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, Todd, before you go, first of all, wonderful insight. So impressed by, if there's something about South Carolina you don't know, I'm not sure what that list looks like, because, wow, unbelievably impressive information there. And equally as impressive, maybe even more so, you woke up at 4 in the morning to get here in Atlanta, and you're pulling double duty because you're about to sprint. Speaking of running, you're going to sprint not only here from SEC Media Days, you're going to go over for a little baseball too.
They call this work. Yes, the All-Star game is in Atlanta.
Look at you.
How often do you get to be, in the same town as the All-Star game?
Yeah.
I'm a huge baseball fan, so we're going to go over there tonight for the home run derby.
Yep.
You're in Atlanta. There's a lot of stuff going on here. A lot more going on in Atlanta than Spartanburg or Mobile.
Sure.
So you got to take advantage of it when you're here. So we're going to get done here, get in the car, drive over to the baseball stadium, maybe talk with a couple guys. Cal Raleigh, catcher for the Mariners, is from our area, so that's kind of cool. Hopefully we can catch up with him. Maybe nobody else knows that he has 38 home runs, and we can get a one-on-one with him. I think everybody probably knows that he's on the short list of MVP candidates in the American League, but it's pretty cool. It's a fun time of year, and we're just getting started.
Love it, Todd. Love the energy. Love the grind. Great stuff, man. Thank you so much. Todd Summers with our affiliate in Spartanburg, South Carolina, WSPA. We're just getting started here on Southeast Sports Plus. Coming up next, we're going to check in with Chessa Boucher. Comes to Atlanta from Baton Rouge as we hear from the LSU Tigers. That's coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Southeast Sports Plus, special coverage of SEC Football Media Days 2025 continues live from Atlanta.
Welcome back to the College Football Hall of Fame, home to SEC Football Media Days. It's Ladies' Hour here on Southeast Sports Plus. My girl Chessa Boucher joining me, of course, Simone Eli. We are at SEC Media Days. The hoopla is underway, and it's quick because we woke up this morning, and I told our guys, we have some new guys, there's some young blood here. I said, guys, get down there, get your credential, and everyone did. I was a few minutes late, and the line was out the door. And so I was not getting my credential early, and I was like, man, I came to take my own advice. Chessa, welcome to the show.
I was right there with you. I was in line. I'm not going to lie. I was sweating because I was like, you have to get Brian Kelly at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 7:45. So I'm trying to scoot and kind of finagle my way in. I had a lot of nice gentlemen here. They let me kind of go forward.
Listen, every now and then you have to be like, guys, throw me a bone. Give me some favors, no question. Look, you walked up. I said, you look so adorable today, and you do. And you got tennis shoes on. It's all about functionality when it comes to SEC Football Media Days.
Functionality.
You have to be able to survive the grind.
And you have to have pockets. You have to be able to shoot off your shoulder. You have to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. And so that's why I wore my J's for day one. You got to come out hot.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Listen, guys, LSU made the rounds, like I heard Chessa mention a minute ago. That includes Brian Kelly. Going into year 4 already, it feels like that has absolutely flown by from when he left Notre Dame, went down there to coach the Tigers, and had his Southern accent that he developed pretty quickly. Gotta love that. What's it like? How have you seen Brian Kelly change as a coach from when he got here in Baton Rouge 4 years ago to where he is today?
I think the thing that stood out to me most about Brian and what I knew from him at Notre Dame, he seemed kind of hot-headed and had a lot to say. Once he got down to the bayou, I don't know if it was the food or if it was the booze or kind of all of it, because that's what they do. But Brian Kelly kind of relaxed a little bit, could throw jokes here and there, and kind of just gave a different perspective that I don't think anybody really anticipated. I think he came out the gate firing year 1, made it to here in Atlanta, the SEC championship game. So everybody was like, okay, so maybe he does know what he's talking about, and he's only had one losing season his entire 30-something year career, which I think speaks for itself. But I think he kind of went through a lull because you find out in the SEC you have to have a defense. They have not had that until last year, had a average defense. Now he's saying this year we've got the guys in place. He has Blake Baker, that is his guy, who took over second-year defensive coordinator. So I think Brian has kind of been a little bit more acclimated to the SEC and what it takes to win.
Sure, absolutely. And that's always a transition for everybody, even coming from a traditional powerhouse program like Notre Dame, when you come and you have to deal with the SEC schedule, the gauntlet, Greg Sankey talked about that today, you're playing so many conference games, it's a beating. You really take a beating every single Saturday, but it seems like Brian Kelly is adjusting with the times, not only with the times of being in the SEC, but also the changes of the transfer portal and seeing so many things come into play when it comes to the SEC. Where do you feel like he is maybe hitting the recruiting trail the best? This is a guy I feel like who is moving forward and knows, hey, they need to have a good season this year.
I think he's done a really good job of balancing the high school recruits and the transfer portals. Sure. I think last year they went a little light on the transfer portals, had 9 guys that didn't really make a huge impact, and this year he was like, no, we're going to go get our guys, have 19 guys, the number 1 transfer portal class. Yeah. And so I think he knew like, we got to go and we got to make sure we have the right guys in place. And so he went and got those guys, and he talked about it today about Blake Baker is my guy. He is our defensive coordinator. He just needed the right pieces. Yeah. And I think one of those, Harold Perkins, one of the best linebackers in the country, blew out his ACL last year. Then Whit Weeks, you have him. He's been in the system. Sure. This is going into his 3rd year. He's going to be one of the best linebackers in the country as well. Those two play off of each other. Yeah. Ironically, both of them got hurt this year, went into the offseason, and Whit talked about it today that Harold and him, had Harold not been hurt and pushed him, he doesn't know if he would be where he is today. Yep. We found out that both Harold and Whit will be a full go in fall camp, and I think having those 2 guys back there really leading this defense is going to make a huge difference. And for me, I was really impressed with him saying, Harold is my guy, that is my dude, and had it not been for him, I wouldn't be who I am today. And their bond is really just kind of grown over the adversity and what they've been through and pushed each other. So it's almost a blessing in disguise that they're both hurt at the same time, and now they're coming back at the same time.
Yeah, maybe peels back the curtain a little bit on what the locker room is like and what things are like for under Brian Kelly, what's happening behind the scenes a little bit, to be able to see that type of brotherhood, of course, take place. And you're talking about guys on the defensive end. Can't ignore the signal caller. What's happening there in Baton Rouge. And I think that they're really excited about this returner.
Oh, absolutely. Garrett Nussmeier is a gunslinger. He hates that phrase because he says there's something that comes with that, and that has been turnovers for him. He threw 12 interceptions, but he also threw for over 4,000 yards, had 29 touchdowns. I think having 1 year as a starter under his belt is going to show a lot this season. And he even said, I've been in the weight room, I've lost weight because I want to get better, and I want to be a better dual threat quarterback. Last year, the biggest kind of poking holes in his game was that he didn't run the ball very well. If at ever, and then also the turnovers. So he said, I want to get stronger in my lower body. I want to be a better dual threat quarterback, and I'm coming back to LSU, and I want to win a national championship. And I think he could be onto something this year.
Yep, no question about that. We, of course, talked to Brian Kelly. I know that you had a chance to talk to them one-on-one. What did you hear from that? And, of course, what do we have today from Coach Kelly?
The thing that stood out to me most about Brian Kelly today, and he always brings the jokes, and he's a lot of fun and playful, but to me what stood out was he was telling us about the motivation that he is using this year going into their season opener. They have not had a season opening win under Brian Kelly yet, so they're 0-3. Okay. Brian Kelly's like, you know what, I'm going to figure out how to get in that win column. So he said that he is using the motivation of the Clemson Tiger Paw. It is all throughout their operations building, and so you go into the building, you see that all day, every day. I mean, if I'm going in there to lift weights and I see that knowing I got them in the end of August, that's going to be motivation, and I think that's what they're using. And Brian Kelly just talked about how you need to know what you're going after, and they want to start this year off 1-0.
Yeah, y'all go ahead and take a listen to Brian Kelly earlier today.
If you go through our weight room, we've got a Clemson paw print on the bags that we hit every day. It's on every monitor in the building to go 1-0. And I think it was important to have a tangible, specific goal for us to start the season. And I think it's important. Our kids want that. They can taste it. I use the analogy that, when I work out, I like to have a clock in front of me so I know what the time is and when it's time to finish or to finish strong. And that's what this is. This is a clock in front of them saying, this is where we start this. And then it becomes 1-0 every week after that. But it's tangible and it's specific.
All right, so Brian Kelly there talking about that big week 1 game with Clemson, using a little bit of motivation throughout the offseason as they get ready for fall camp, get ready for practice. Listen, everyone has their own style, everyone has their own tactic. He feels like this is going to work best.
Yeah, I think when you start out 0-2 like he has under his belt, that he's like, you know what, maybe I need to do something a little different. Last year they thought that they were going to go and make some noise in Vegas against USC and then fell short again. So I think that's a great tactic. I know that the defense certainly kind of licking their chops at let's show what we can do and what we can prove. And again, I think it's going to be the two guys, Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks, those two guys running this defense. I love that Whit talked about his relationship with DC, Blake Baker, how he basically knows what he's going to call now because he's been in his system, he knows them that well, and they're really close and they're really tight, and he credits kind of the ascent of his career last season and why he grew as much as he did to Blake Baker just being that guy. And so for me, I hate that two of the best linebackers in the country, they were hurt, but they grew together, they're doing better, and it's one of those things of, hey, if Harold Perkins is there and Whit Weeks, you don't want to see these guys coming after him. And I asked Whit, like, what do you expect from Harold? And he simply said, just let Harold be Harold.
Guys, take a listen.
Just let Harold be Harold. I mean, that dude's a superstar, so if you just let him be him, he's going to go make every single play in the world. And really, this offseason, him rehabbing and me rehabbing, we got really close this offseason. And, you know, when the days looked long for me, he was always a guy that I could lean on, and he would always push me to be my best in days that I couldn't even hardly walk. He was right there beside me, you know, hey, look, keep your head up. You're going to get through this. It's going to get better.
All right, good stuff there from LSU player Whit Weeks, and great stuff from Chessa Boucher, of course, from our Baton Rouge affiliate, joining me in Atlanta for Southeast Sports Plus. Chessa, it's going to be a busy day, a busy week ahead. What are you looking forward to the most? Of course, the Tigers are kind of in the can now, but as you look forward, I mean, the SEC is the SEC, and one thing about this conference is that everybody cares what's going on in the other programs as well. It's not just your one team. It's kind of like, hey, everyone wants to know, okay, what do they got going on over there? Who do they have? Okay, who transfer over here? It's always a little bit of something everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. That rivalry between LSU and Ole Miss, it's always spicy. And especially the way that Ole Miss lost last season and that touchdown to Kyron Lacey, it's one of those things of I'm excited to see what Lane Kiffin has to say because he's always spicy. He always brings a little flair, a little dramatic. So especially having Brian Kelly to start the day, then Lane Kiffin to end the day, I don't really feel like it gets – I mean, you couldn't pick another great duo to end the day one with.
It is a great day one, no doubt about that. We will have much more to come here on Southeast Sports Plus. Just getting started, day one of SEC football media days. Had a chance to hear from LSU in South Carolina in the morning session. It's Vanderbilt and Ole Miss taking the stage right now at the College Football Hall of Fame. We will have more from the big event coming up in our next couple of minutes. Stay right here. We'll return after the break.
Southeast Sports Plus, special coverage of SEC Football Media Days 2025 continues live from Atlanta.
Welcome back into Southeast Sports Plus. Simone, Eli, Gerhard, Mathangani joining you alongside someone we are so excited to introduce the Gulf Coast and really all of the Southeast to. It's the brand new member of the News 5 sports team, Mr. Patrick Walsh. Welcome to SEC Football Media Days. Welcome to WKRG and Nexstar Nation.
Thank you. It's my first time in Atlanta outside of just the airport, so, you know, a little bit of a switch up. We're in a great venue. I'm loving the College Football Hall of Fame right now. There's so many cool little gadgets around, you know. It's a fan-friendly experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, we're so excited to have you not only join News 5 here in the Gulf Coast, of course, but also to be able to be talking SEC football, SEC sports day in and day out. I know you're from from New York, rather, thinking North Carolina on the brain for some reason. I know you're from New York, but what is it about being in the SEC that you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I mean, I've alluded to you a couple times. It just means more down here, but, you know, that level of play in the Southeast, it just feels different. I grew up watching Big East football, ACC basketball and football, but every time, way back in the day when the SEC would just come on every Saturday, it just felt a little bit different, and the style of play was just, it was different.
100%. Simone, I tried to get him ready for SEC Media Days because, as you know, you can be riding the elevator with somebody who's on national television or a player that is a Heisman Trophy favorite, a Heisman Trophy candidate. I try to get you to understand that. What's it been like so far? I remember my first day covering SEC Media Days and just how wide-eyed I was. You seem to have been taking it in stride. What's been your impressions just so far with just how much talent, both on the media side but as well as the athletic side, you've seen here?
Well, for starters, when we got in the elevator this morning, we saw Heather Dinich from ESPN, and then we get in the elevator in here, and we see Paul Feinbaum. So, you just alluded to it perfectly. It's that whoa, I'm here moment. And that's definitely something that I'm going to have to get used to. But, being up close to the players, too, seeing what they're wearing. Garrett Nussmeier's suit today, that is clean. Listen, nice, clean purple suit.
Listen, they make a lot of money nowadays. That's the thing about college athletes now. When I got into it a million years ago, it seems like, when Gerhard got into it 2 million years ago, they didn't have nearly as nice attire. Nowadays, they've got these custom suits and some cool stuff on the inside of their jackets and things like that. It's so funny that you said that to Patrick, because I texted him the same thing this morning. I said, listen, when you walk around and you see these people who you feel like are celebrities, remember you're wearing the same credential, you earned the chance to be here, and it really is that kind of moment. I really like to see it through someone else's eyes of hey, okay, I remember my young days, I remember my first SEC Media Days, and it's really, really neat. So we're glad to have you, Patrick. Of course, we already saw a few teams make the rounds. We've since been up here, so we haven't really had a chance to hear from Lane Kiffin in the afternoon session quite yet. Vanderbilt, of course, making the rounds as well right now. But Greg Sankey took the stage this morning, and we talked about it off the top of the show, Gerhard. This is a guy who's passionate about this conference, passionate about college athletics, and when he talks, people listen. What were your both you guys, your biggest takeaways from Sankey, Gerhard, just when you thought overall what his message was today?
I think unity is number one. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this conference as a whole has stood strong for a very long time. One of the things that they do in the spring is the SEC spring meetings, and I think that's a really good time. There's not as much pomp and circumstance as this event is. This is a little bit more cotton candy as compared to those meetings in Destin. And those meetings in Destin, I think, are where the nuts and bolts of real hard conversations are had. And people who might be on different sides of the aisle of different topics, whether it's an 8-game schedule, 9-game schedule, they can voice their real opinions there, really be heard, and actually find some true kind of common ground from where they stand to where the league stands. Here is a little bit more, hey, we're all on the same page, we're letting everybody know everybody's good, and this is a little bit more about how the teams look going into the season. So it's a really different dynamic, which I really like, because there in Destin, you get a chance to really feel like, okay, this coach really wants 9 games. We've heard Brian Kelly say that he doesn't shy away from wanting a 9-game schedule. And other people say, hey, the league is as tough as it is anyways. We play another Power 4 team, and you are playing basically a 9-game SEC schedule. So I thought that was really interesting. And the fact that the message always at this time of year is about cohesiveness.
Yeah, and no question. And you want to believe that Greg Sankey not only wants what's best for the SEC, he wants what's best for the greater whole. You mentioned unity. Patrick, when you're coming from, you just graduated from West Virginia, right? So you're coming from a little bit outsider inside now. Has your mentality changed from, I know you didn't play football over there, you probably could have though for the Mountaineers, but has your mentality changed since starting to cover the SEC on the dynamic of these two conferences? And when you are on the side of the ACC, or when you're not a Big Ten or SEC school, do you feel like you, I don't know, do you feel kind of, I shouldn't say lesser than, because that doesn't sound right, but for lack of a better phrase, do you feel lesser than?
No, I know what you're saying. If it were up to me, if it were the SEC on the television or the Big 12, I'd watch the SEC, because there's just a boatload of talent all over the place. And I know Greg Sankey talked earlier today about wanting to expand the college football playoff. That's been a topic that's been going on for a while. But he also said he believes that there's a plan in place right now for this season that can continue into next season if nothing's agreed upon.
Yeah, no question. We will see a lot of unanswered questions as we go into 2025, but also he believes that there's hope. He feels as though there is positive movement right now.
Sure.
Players getting paid, he feels like that's not a terrible thing. There was once a time where we all thought, wow, I mean, shoot, guys got paid, they wouldn't, got their Heisman taken away.
Right.
I mean, there were things that they really changed the landscape of college athletics, college football. You saw a couple coaches come through today who are guys who are looking to take that next step. Of course, Brian Kelly came to the SEC just a few years ago from Notre Dame to LSU. He feels like he can have a national contending team, has to have the right pieces. That's hard to do with the transfer portal.
Right.
And no one bigger than Shane Beamer with South Carolina, who feels like they have everything they need to. They're on the doorstep to take that next step. Can they do such a thing? Part of that is hitting the transfer portal, Gerhard.
Yeah, certainly. And I think both teams and both of those coaches understand that once you bring some new players in from a leadership standpoint, they have to really be a dynamic player to be able to not only come to these things like SEC Media Days. We will see a little bit later on in the week some first-year guys to their teams representing their teams at SEC Media Days.
Sure.
To me, there's a very unique blend as far as the chemistry goes. Brian Kelly he's over the moon, and I think you can be over the moon when your starting quarterback is back, and I think Chessa alluded to this earlier, and it was great. The fact that they bring back not only a very good quarterback, but a great quarterback as far as pure talent goes. Now, can they smooth out some of the rough edges as far as the turnovers go? I think so.
Yep.
And then same thing with South Carolina. What will they bring back with their starting quarterback back, and then what will the new guys look like, both the freshmen and the guys that come out of the transfer portal as well? These are questions that I think that every coach has to ask themselves in 2025. I think Clemson was like one of the only Power 5, Power 4 teams that said, we won't do the transfer thing as much, and then they've kind of come on board as well.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's playing the same game right now. You're kind of playing two games, the one on the field and the one in the locker room, and I think both these coaches and all the 14 other ones understand it as well.
Yeah, roster management. I feel like I've heard that phrase more than I've ever heard it just in the last 2 or 3 years, really, when the transfer portal and being able to transfer within conference, them allowing kids, to play back-to-back seasons, even in transferring within the Southeastern Conference. Guys, as we move on to day 2, let's talk a little bit about what teams we have to look forward to, who it is that we want to hear from the most. Of course, right now it is Vanderbilt and Ole Miss taking the stage here at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. Tomorrow it will be Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. Now, if you don't know this already, Patrick, they call Atlanta Auburn East. All right, I want to make sure that I had the right geographic. That one, okay. Auburn East. Now, but think about Auburn. They haven't played in Atlanta in a good minute.
That's right.
Much to the unhappiness of Tiger fans, of course. Right now, Hugh Freeze going into year 3. All eyes certainly on what he can, try to manage there at Auburn and make things happen on the Plains.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been some noise coming out of Auburn about Hugh Freeze's actions this summer, but I believe it's what's going to happen. On the golf course. I believe it's the product on the field that's really going to speak for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Freeze, it's just, I know he likes the golf, but I really think that the football will be good over there.
Yeah, we'll see. And it certainly feel good when you know who your QB1's going to be. Of course, you feel like you have the pieces in place. Hugh Freeze is a guy who's got to have that offense clicking. He's not somebody that wants, he wants to have balance, of course, but the offense is how Coach Freeze goes. And speaking of non-offensive coaches, Kirby Smart. Of course, Georgia going to roll through. When Georgia rolls through the College Football Hall of Fame, it's like celebrity hour.
Exactly.
There are folks that are, barking in the lobby. They have dogs. There's things that are happening. What are you looking forward to when hearing from Kirby Smart as we go into 2025 and the Georgia Bulldogs team that feels like they were, kind of on the outside looking in last year?
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of optimism coming into this year because of the way the last year ended with their quarterback. Gunnar Stockton played a couple of games where the games are out of hand, but he started that last game, looked very, very good, and now he's the representative for this Georgia football team coming into this year. I think that they feel really good about QB1. I know it's a small sample size with only one game, but they feel really good. But then you talk about the other QB1s, Jackson Arnold, the new guy at Auburn, Arch Manning, the new guy at Texas, and then Nico Iamaleava leaves Tennessee, so there's a new quarterback there at Tennessee. I think the QB1 talk will be really interesting tomorrow, starting with Gunnar Stockton, as you said, with Kirby Smart and
There's
Georgia.
never much drama in college football, so that's the great thing. Or in the SEC, for that matter. Just kidding. Day 3 of SEC Football Media Days will feature Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, and Oklahoma. So Kalen DeBoer, the Alabama Crimson Tide, going to roll through here, the College Football Hall of Fame, on Wednesday in the morning. And people want to know, what will year 2 look like under Kalen DeBoer? Year 1, maybe not to the standard, right? That's the phrase that they always like to hear there in Tuscaloosa. And there, of course, there's pressure always when you have that position. But Patrick, Kalen DeBoer, I think feeling good right now within the recruiting trail and what that could look like for the fall for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's feeling good. It also helps getting Ryan Grubb back from the NFL.
Yeah.
Grubb was with him up there in Washington and helped develop Michael Penix into the quarterback that he became. So I believe whoever wins the QB battle over there in Tuscaloosa, they'll be in good hands with Grubb and DeBoer.
Yeah, and then day 4, rounding out our coverage here at SEC Football Media Days will be Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. Gerhard, quick, who are you looking forward to the most on day 4?
Mike Elko, Texas A&M. Obviously, they have a really talented roster, but they have a really expensive roster as well. Looking forward to hearing from the Aggies.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
Exactly.
No question. We cannot wait, guys, and we are just getting started here on Southeast Sports Plus. In fact, this is show 1. Congratulations, guys. So much prep has gone into this, and man, today has been wild, but it's just the beginning of a lot of fun. This has been a great coverage. We're looking forward to the next 3 days. For Patrick Walsh, for Gerhard Mathangani, I'm Simone Eli. We will see you back here on WKRG Plus app at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
Live from Atlanta, special coverage of SEC Football Media Days 2025. All week from Southeast Sports Plus.